Welcome to episode 127 of the Muck Podcast, a member of the Odd Pods Media Network. Listen in as we discuss the dark and sometimes weird true stories in American politics. I'm Tina Jaramillo.
And I'm Hillary Doherty.
Hillary.
I'm in my pajamas.
Oh, I'm in tracksuit. I have tracksuit life happening. You can't see it, but I'm in my tracksuit pants.
And here's the deal. We're in the middle of a tropical storm, people. We are bringing you all the information in the middle of a severe weather storm.
Yes, flash flooding alert, okay? I
people...
risked my life.
Do you know how many people were sending messages like, oh my god, the weather, you too?
Yes,
and I was like, bitch, it's gonna rain. Like, what's wrong?
I know, I'm like, tomorrow's gonna be bad, but then I looked and it's gonna be done by like 2 o'clock today.
I'm
not
here
even
for
gonna
it.
rain.
Yeah. I mean, I'd take a tropical storm every fucking weekend over a hurricane coming. Like,
that's true. That's true.
Tropical storm's a baby, like a fetus of a hurricane.
Yeah.
Is that wrong? It's not a baby.
It's not. Oh my god.
Oh my god. P.S. bro. Why are so many people in Ireland downloading this podcast? Every week I look, I'm like,
it makes me so happy.
Me too, but like, who are you? Can you please send us an email?
Yes,
I want to know what's
email.
happening in Ireland, that everybody there is listening to this podcast. It's fucking crazy.
God. I love it.
Like 30 to 40 downloads a week.
Yes.
Who are these people?
Are you?
Is it one giant clan of people like fucking on a farm and they're like, these women, I can't do an Irish accent.
And their potatoes.
Yeah, well, let's not get into all the stereotypes.
Yeah,
let's not
be
do
offensive.
You're all redheads with your beautiful pale skin. You like goth chicks? Is that what you're into, or what's happening right now? Oh, God. Anyway, what? Send us an email. So themuckpodcast@gmail.com. I want to hear from somebody in Ireland who's downloading this shit.
I want to hear from any of you outside of Florida. How about that?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I guess. But like Ireland?
Yes. Ireland and also, Germany. We have a lot of listeners in Germany.
Please tell me, if you're in Ireland listening to this, please tell me if I'm pronouncing my married last name right. Because everybody says Doherty, which my son, it broke his heart this week when his coach said Doherty. And he was like, my heart broke into a million pieces. Because we say Doherty. That's how my husband
sounds right.
He says that's how they pronounce it in Ireland. My ex-husband said that. And I was like, whatever. It's my married name. I don't give a fuck how you say it. And my kids are like, it's Doherty. I'm like, whatever. But tell me if that's right. I'd love to know.
I'm going to say that that's right.
All right.
Just the way you did it with the little accent there sounded proper.
Right?
Yeah.
All right.
It reminded me of Father Foodie from St. Coleman's Church.
Oh my God.
He was the little the Irish priest.
Yeah. What else you got?
Not much.
Okay. Well, I want to...
I feel like the state of the world is still horrible and more mass shootings and...
Oh my God.
It's just like...
A mass shooting at a hospital and that wasn't covered because there was another mass shooting at another place and it was just insane.
At another school. There was another school.
So a mass shooting I've been reading a lot about because I want to cover the assault weapons ban, which is very interesting, by the way. Very interesting.
Oh, and I wanted to talk about Biden's speech a little bit.
Okay. I didn't hear it, but I did see some people. I saw on Twitter people were like, "Oh, today I'm so proud I voted for Biden." I was like, "Okay, so I'm interested to hear what you have to say." But a mass shooting is 4 or more people.
Correct.
So there's a guy who killed his entire family this week, and then himself, which made it 5. So that's a mass shooting. Again, it's horrifying. Just as horrifying as if it was 20 kids in a school. You know, I mean, these guns it's out of fucking control.
But you know what's crazy? Like, when I hear like 4 or 5 people, I'm like, well.
Right.
And then I'm like, what am I doing? No. I mean, 1 is too many.
Yeah.
But like, it's like so many numbers all of the time.
So the assault weapons ban that George H.W. let expire, and then when you look at the chart, it like after it expires, it was only good for 10 years and it had a sunset provision. I don't know why. That's where it just can like go away unless the president just signs it again. The amount of mass shootings after that sunset date is fucking insane.
Yeah.
It's insane. And But they drafted, it was Dianne Feinstein in California because there was a shooting at a school in California, at an elementary school, where a guy just took a gun, his automatic rifle, and went to the playground and went on the playground,
God.
Killed children, killed a teacher, like 50 people wounded. But that's what the result was, is they had the assault weapons ban, right? Like that,
which makes sense.
They took action.
It makes sense.
Bipartisan action.
And it was bipartisan. Like it's. But the NRA has
under
just
Reagan,
been
dumping
and dumping money, and they have sold the narrative.
Yeah.
And my husband and I were talking about this, that even if because I'm like, well, the NRA is like bankrupt now, you know, like they're not doing great.
My mom said the same thing.
But their legacy, their story is already out in people's mouths, right? And so that's all that they're going to keep repeating, and you can't take that back now. You know, like they did it, right? They did what they set out to do.
But could you imagine being an organization that has given so much money to keep guns and putting guns into dangerous people's hands?
Right.
You spend so much money as a lobby to politicians that you've gone broke. Like, that's how fucking much money they have given. It's incredible.
It's so gross.
They've given money they don't even have, right? Because bankruptcy is like loans on top of loans on top of loans that they can't pay back. So they're borrowing money to, like, just devastate this country.
And it's like, why? Why? I don't get it. And the one thing that I was frustrated with the speech is he said...
tell me about the speech.
So he did say, like, we need to ban assault weapons.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, but if we can't ban them... And I'm like, damn it. Like, no, just full stop, end. And again, my husband and I talk, and he's like, no, he can't do that. He's like, he can't say that. He cannot call for a full ban. I'm like, why? And he's like, because it's not going to go over. He's like, he's got to say, like, he's got to be realistic about what can actually be done with the people sitting in there. And I'm like, why can't he do an executive order? And I guess because...
Okay, I've looked this up,
of, like, the Second Amendment, you can't just...
He's actually done executive orders about gun control in April of this year.
Yeah.
He literally did a bunch of stuff before the shooting in Texas and everything. He's done as much as he can by executive order.
Right.
So... Sorry I called you a bitch.
Yes.
But, you know. How about this? Can the president put any pressure on people in Congress? Like, can you call them to the White House? Right? Like, can that be a thing? Can you use all the power? Like I said, the thing that I was thinking about, how Biden's been in the Senate for like how many fucking years, and then he was vice president, now he's president. The thing is this, you were there when Columbine happened. Like, you were here at like the big mass, like the starting, which I feel like is the starting point of, at least in my memory,
Columbine.
Columbine.
Me too.
And
well,
then
because of that documentary too, like, you know, like there's a lot of awareness.
But like, you were in Congress when that happened. You know what I mean? Like, why? You've seen the progression of this. There has to be a way we can do something about it without having to have bipartisan. There has to be a way. And use your wisdom and your knowledge. You've been there for so fucking long. What the fuck?
I know.
There's got to be a way to backdoor this motherfucker.
I don't know. And I saw Manuel Oliver had tweeted. He's like, yeah, I was kind of hoping for an executive order, but that didn't happen. And the one thing I thought was a little weird, and well, it was so Catholic. He ended it with a quote from Eagle's Wings. Like,
what the hell is that?
I feel like every Catholic knows that song.
What?
That I'll raise you up on
Eagle's Wings. Yeah. Now I know
like,
it.
Okay, like every Catholic in America sitting there going, what? He's quoting Eagle's Wings, and he's like, you know, and he's saying, I hold you in the palms of your, you know, he's doing the whole thing. But I was like, wow, like, that's so Catholic.
But also the
speech
speech is
like, I'm sick of like the whole...
speech is 2 weeks after the shooting.
Well, he did this one because of the, I think, the hospital.
I mean, my God.
Because he did the speech after the shooting, and then he's doing this other one.
Don't ever leave the podium. There's shootings every single day. Just stand up there and sing Eagle's Wings. Just do it on a fucking loop, Biden.
I was like, what? And then the other thing that he did, and this is a whole different subject, but it made me laugh, was when Elon Musk, did you hear about this?
Mm-mm.
Elon Musk was like, I'm kind of concerned about the economy. And they asked Biden about that comment.
Go to Mars, bitch.
Yes. And Biden was like, he's like, took something out of his pocket, and he's like, yeah, like things are, he kind of brushes it off, and he's like, yeah, tell him good luck on that trip to the moon. And then he walks away. I'm like, what, Biden? Look at you.
Burn, motherfucker, burn.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I'm like, okay, there might be some I feel like
there's still some spark in those old eyes.
I feel like
those old pulled back eyes.
I feel like Biden is just one of these old school politicians, and I get that, like, I'm gonna still say, I guess that's what we needed to beat Trump. I don't like it. I feel like we need to be full on progressive everywhere we go. I'm sick of the moderate. I'm sick of it. We need to just bulldoze our way, just like their far end did it. Like, we need to do the same thing.
100%.
I'm done, and especially like for Florida.
No, it's
and DeSantis, Special Olympics, the baseball team. Did you hear about those two things? So the Special Olympics wanted to require Special Olympics that have children and like people who are performing who have, you know, diseases or have life-threatening or immunocompromised disabilities. They were saying if you want to participate or attend or whatever it is, you have to have your vaccine card.
Yeah.
DeSantis said, I'm going to sue you. I'll charge you $27 million because they're coming to host the event here. So they had to withdraw that because they were afraid. So this is what we have in the state of Florida, a dictator who in a private industry has decided something for their own interests. And a state governor then is going to, because he doesn't align with what his beliefs are, is going to try to sue them for $27 million. And these are people that are in the Special Olympics.
I mean, he's got to be
and then
the devil come to life. Come on.
The baseball team, it's like the Tampa Bay something or other baseball team, who they were supposed to get like a new facility or like area, whatever. I don't know if it was I don't think it was a stadium, but like facilities or something. And they put some statement out on gun violence. Oh, he didn't like that. They're not getting their facilities.
What?
Yeah, this is what we're dealing with. Now imagine this man at the helm as president of the United States on the federal level, and people don't do what he wants. And how he's going to withhold funding from people in states. He's crazy.
Oh, he's crazy.
He's crazy. And we need to beat him.
Uh-oh.
And we need someone that can do it.
Uh-oh. I don't know if that's going to happen.
And I really feel like Nikki Fried's the only damn person who can do it. But nobody wants to believe in her.
Nobody wants to fucking endorse her. Nobody wants to endorse her.
I saw that like a young Democrat, some kind of organization, colleges.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, the young people know what's up.
But now even progressives that we love, Tina, I sent you a text this week. I don't want to mention the name. Endorsed him this week.
I don't understand it. I need someone to explain it to me.
Me too.
I sent you these texts. Me down.
I sent you the text and I go, I give up. Like, I don't know what is happening right now. Why is this happening? What is happening? Why is this going on?
I mean, it's everything's just money, right? Because we're this sick, disgusting, capitalistic shit.
So here's the thing. Either they're hedging their bets and they think he's going to win, right? Or, I mean, just the primary, because there's no fucking way he's beating DeSantis. He's not going to beat DeSantis. He's not going to beat DeSantis, okay? Or they know something about Nikki Fried that we don't fucking know. They know something that we don't know. Or she can't bring something to the table that they want. Something is going on that I'm
there's something.
I don't know.
Or it's the Biden effect. Or they're banking on, like we've talked about before, that he is the Joe Biden of this election, the old white dude that people kind of know, and he's moderate and he can be trusted, and we can get the old people in Florida to vote for him.
It's infuriating.
That's the only thing.
Guess what movie I watched last night?
What?
Well, kind of fell asleep in. Sorry. But I watched the part with Charlie Crist. Outrage, that documentary, Outrage.
Oh.
It's fucking incredible.
Where is it? Where can I see it?
You can watch, well, you don't watch Prime.
I know,
Prime.
Sorry.
You can probably rent it somewhere, but it's a great documentary, and Charlie Crist is the fucking star of the show, along with Larry Craig and all these other people, and how Bob Norman, who we know through his beautiful wife, Brittany Wallman, who's a Pulitzer Prize winning reporter, journalist from the Sun Sentinel, and first guest of Lil Muck. Excuse me.
And she's amazing. Don't you love all her posts?
Yes.
She's like...
Follow her on Twitter, Brittany Wallman.
Oh, love her.
She's so cute with those glasses.
Yeah, they're so cute. She's like always doing little like...
She's adorable.
Just like outdoorsy. Yeah. I don't know. I love everything about her.
We need to hang out with her. Yes!
Let's do it, Brittany!
Yay, wine.
Yes.
Anyway.
Are you listening, Brittany?
Please. Her husband, Bob Norman, in his own right, is an incredible investigative journalist, and he did a whole bunch. He's the one who exposed Charlie Crist as gay with multiple sources.
Okay.
So he's covered in this, but, you know, the whole point of this documentary is closeted politicians who vote against the LGBTQ community, right? And Charlie Crist, as running for governor and as governor, went fucking hard against the LGBTQ community.
As a Republican.
Which is why it makes me... Yes.
Yeah.
Which is why it makes me fucking sick to see him stand in front of a group that I'm a part of, that's an LGBTQ caucus, and try to fucking sell his goddamn garbage. He's a shit person. He's a fucking liar. And I can't take him seriously. You either have values or you don't. And I know that you're like, well, people should change. No. People cannot. This is fucked up. And because it was so blatantly changed in the middle of a campaign. Fuck you. You don't give a fuck about people. You care about yourself. And you can't win. And you know what? Let's do something. If Charlie Crist wins the primary and beats DeSantis, I will do something. What do you want? I will do something. I want to say run down the street naked, but people do not need to see this.
We'll have him on Lil Muck.
Oh my god, my stomach! I just felt like throw up come in my mouth. Like I just felt like very sick. I'm not even kidding. I just like
not that he would come because
we're always shit talking. Yes. By the way, it has been offered. He's been offered on a silver platter, and I've said no. Yeah. I've said no.
But maybe we'll say yes.
That's a lot for me. That's a lot.
Let's think on it. Think on it.
Oh my god. I'm telling you, it goes against everything that I fucking believe in. I can't give him a platform. I cannot. It's just too hard.
That's too much. Running naked down the street is preferable.
I mean, maybe a titty shot here. I'll just show a nip. One nip. My mother would die. My mom says nip, which I think is so funny. Your nip showing.
Oh my god.
Okay. Speaking of gay, I wanted to make something clear about my story last week, which when I was editing it, I'm like, girl, you didn't bring up sodomy laws. Like, I know the story was about, really, I talked about these men that were accused of having sex with underage boys, and that's wrong. And yes, like we talked about all that, right? But who was attacked really, who was really gone after are gay men were arrested based on these sodomy laws that existed in Idaho at the time. And so I wanted to make that very clear. Like, there is a reason why they were arrested, and it wasn't because they were accused of having sex with underage boys. The charges that stuck were the ones for these sodomy laws. And so I wanted to read this, that the U.S. Supreme Court's 2003, this happened in 1955, by the way, that what happened in Idaho, the boys of Boise. But in 2003 decision in Lawrence v. Texas rendered laws banning consensual sexual activity unenforceable, including Idaho's. So as of 2021, the state's sodomy law, though unenforceable, had not been repealed by Idaho legislators. So still, as of last year, that sodomy law that those people
it's still on the books?
It's still on the books. So that's kind of, I feel like I didn't really get that across. Like I was more focused on like these underage boys. Right. There were reasons and these laws existed. So
okay.
Anyway, are you ready?
I am.
Good, because I'm going hard, bitch. Oh my god, as hard as a 44-year-old white woman can go, let's do it. Which I think is pretty hard sometimes. Oh, thank you.
Damn.
Thank you. Oh god, it's so cute.
I fucking love this show so much.
Me too. The behind the camera shenanigans around here. By the way, my son walking in and out of here last week of the camera.
Could you see him fully?
I could see him. And he's looking right at the camera as he's walking through. He's like, and I'm like, bitch. And I'm yelling, fuck. And I'm like, oh,
wait,
the
did
worst
I cut
mother
that
ever.
out?
He was in there a couple. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's just that I didn't hear him. Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't hear him coming this way. I just saw him coming this way, and I was like, what is wrong with you? We've been doing this for years. You know you need to stay out of here.
It's the age.
It's fine. Yeah, it's fine. He's precocious.
Yes.
Okay, today I am covering U.S. Senator Jesse Helms.
Oh, let's go.
Ooh, there's a bunch of gasps in the room. We all know who this guy is, right? Strom Thurmond-esque is how I'm calling this guy. Like, God. Very much so. Like, such a piece of shit. Such a piece of shit. But it's Pride Month, so I want to keep reminding people of how far we've come and the people that who said very horrible things, and then we continue to uplift them even after they were dead. Like, continue to, like, parade them around and clap for them when they're retiring, even though they said some fucking heinous shit on the floor of the Senate. Like, insane.
It's crazy what we do.
It is. Okay, so Helms was born in 1921 in Monroe, North Carolina, where his father, nicknamed Big Jesse, served as both fire chief and chief of police. His mother was a homemaker, and he described the Monroe as a community surrounded by farmland and with a population of about 3,000 people. He said, quote, "You knew just about everybody, and just about everybody knew you."
Oh, so it's a little
Sounds
town.
awful.
Little town.
The Helms family was poor during the Great Depression, resulting in each of the children working from an early age, and he acquired his first job at 9, sweeping the floors at the Monroe Inquirer,
Wow.
which I think later on leads into him wanting to be a journalist, because he ends up doing that.
Yeah, he's around newspapers.
Yes. In high school, he was voted the most obnoxious in his senior yearbook.
God. I love that that's even a superlative. Like,
all teenagers are obnoxious. Teenagers are just obnoxious. He's the most obnoxious of all of the kids. Which is fantastic.
And, not class clown. Not
That's what I got.
prettiest
That's what I
eyes.
got. I got class clown.
My husband got that too.
He did?
Oh, you guys are twinsies.
He briefly attended Wingate Junior College, now Wingate University near Monroe, before leaving for Wake Forest College, which we talked about before going on the air today.
Yes.
He stated his goal in attending was never to get a diploma, but instead form the skills needed for forms of employment he was seeking at a time when he aspired to become a journalist.
Okay.
So he left Wingate after a year to begin his career, Wake Forest to begin his career as a journalist, working for the next 11 years as a newspaper and radio reporter, first as a sports writer and news reporter for Raleigh's The News and Observer, and also as an assistant city editor at the Raleigh Times.
Fun.
And during World War II, he served stateside as a recruiter for the U.S. Navy. After the war, he pursued his twin interests of journalism and Democratic Party politics. Now, remember, he's a Democrat when it was the Dixie Democrats, right?
Yes.
So it's just like Strom, he's going to switch in like 70.
Yeah.
Because we can't have blacks around here.
Oh, my God.
Oh, no, not in my school. Not in my pools. We can't have blacks around here.
God.
Oh, my God.
I don't even...
He's a piece of shit. I mean, it's just so... This that wanting to hold on, and then they get power, which makes it like 1,000 times worse, right? He later became the city news editor of the Raleigh Times, and he was a radio and television newscaster and commentator at WRAL-TV. So in 1950, Helms played a critical role. This is when he starts to get into politics. As campaign publicity director for Willis Smith in the U.S. Senate campaign against a prominent liberal, Frank Porter Graham. So Smith was a Democratic lawyer and former president of the American Bar Association, and he portrayed Graham, who supported school desegregation, as a, quote, dupe of communists, and a proponent of the, quote, mingling of the races, end quote. 1950. Why does this seem so? It doesn't seem that long ago.
It's not really.
Smith's flyer said, quote, "Wake up, white people," end quote.
Wow.
Wake up. By the way, Helms is the one making it. He's the publicity person.
Yeah.
He's creating all of this, right?
Right.
And basically, the primaries were all white people anyway. Black people aren't voting. Like, there's still like this fear around voting.
But God forbid we inch towards anything, right?
Blacks were still mostly disenfranchised in the state because its 1900 constitutional amendment had been passed by white Democrats with restrictive voter registration and electoral provisions that effectively and severely reduced their role in electoral politics. So it's just why? Why are we outward saying wake up white people and nobody's even...
because it's the dog whistle, like this is the person that we want, and instill that fear of that other candidate and what that could mean for them, and
So he won and hired Helms as his administrative assistant in Washington. So he goes to D.C. and he worked in 1952. Helms worked on the presidential campaign of Georgia Senator Richard Russell Jr. After Russell dropped out of the presidential race, Helms returned to working for Smith in D.C. And then Smith dies in 1953. So Helms goes back to Raleigh, North Carolina. And from 1953 to 60, he was the executive director of the North Carolina Bankers Association, and he and his wife set up their home in the Hayes Barrett Historic District, where he lived for the rest of his life.
For those 6 years, he's not really like doing politics.
Right.
He's kind of, I did the politics things.
Well,
now
no,
kind of
he gets into it again. Yeah. So when he's still working for the bank in 1957, he wins his first election as a Raleigh City Council member. And he served 2 terms and earned a reputation as a conservative who, quote, fought against everything from putting a median strip on downtown Boulevard to an urban renewal project, end quote. Like, just says no to everything. Okay. Helms disliked his tenure on the council, feeling all the other members acted as a private club and that Mayor William G. Enlow was a steamroller.
Oh, please. You were probably a jerk. You were most obnoxious. And they were like, we're not hanging out with this idiot.
We just want to put a median in the street. Can you fucking just calm down? Jesus. Who's going to do it? Are black people going to do it? Oh no. What are we going to do? In 1960, Helms worked on the unsuccessful primary gubernatorial campaign of I. Beverly Lake Sr., who ran on a platform of racial segregation. Lake lost to Terry Sanford, who ran as a racial moderate, willing to implement the federal policy of school integration.
Oh my God. It's like, it's
the smallest little thing that they could do is integrate the schools. This guy's not for it. I mean, it's crazy.
It baffles my mind, and I feel like, just as like an ignorant white person saying this, that like I mean, we're not living in the best of times, but I'm like, thank God
oh my God.
You know, like,
yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I hate this country.
Me too. Oh God, I've said it so many times in the last 2 weeks.
I know.
So many fucking times. Helms felt forced busing and forced racial integration caused animosity on both sides and, quote, proved to be unwise, end quote. So in 1960, he joins the Raleigh-based Capitol Broadcasting Company as the executive vice president, vice chairman of the board, and assistant chief executive officer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. His daily CBC editorials on WRAL-TV, given at the end of each night's local news broadcast in Raleigh, made Helms famous as a conservative commentator throughout eastern North Carolina.
What? So he just every night uses, so now he's this radio exec, and he's like, oh, I'm going to take this to just spew my own personal bullshit.
Yes.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Must be nice to have, fucking a television at your disposal.
It's like Fox News before Fox News.
Yeah.
So his editorials featured...
It's like a fireside chat, but like bad.
Racist. Yeah. Hold on. I gotta write it down. Fireside chat.
Oh my God.
But bad. It's probably too long, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So his editorials featured folksy anecdotes interwoven with conservative views against, quote, the civil rights movement, the liberal news media, and the anti-war churches, end quote.
Wow.
Among many targets, and he referred to the News and Observer, which was his former employer, as the nuisance and disturber.
What an idiot. He's such a petulant jerk.
Yeah, he's a big baby. He's a big baby. Yes. For its promotion of liberal views in support of African American civil rights activities, the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, which had a reputation for liberalism, was also a frequent target of Helms' criticism. He is said to have referred to the university as the University of Negroes and Communists. UNC. Despite a lack of evidence, and suggested a wall be erected around the campus to prevent the university's liberal views from infecting the rest of the state.
So, okay. Again, this is a guy who's just an executive at a station who it says, I'm the executive, I get my 2 minutes of time every night, and just starts just saying whatever the fuck he wants to say.
Yeah.
Is that even allowed?
Of course. What do you mean? We got the First Amendment, bitch.
I know, but like, most people you gotta pay for airtime. So he just gets it.
Yeah. And also, what I mean? People love shock, right? So this guy's on here, he's saying these things, which, by the way, maybe this is shocking to us now, but maybe it wasn't shocking then. Maybe people just talked like this. People would say these things all the time.
And out loud.
Yeah, and it was not a thing. He said the civil rights movement was infested by communists and moral degenerates. Commenting on the 1963 protests and March on Washington during the Civil Rights Movement, Helms stated, quote, the Negro cannot count forever on the kind of restraint that's thus far left him free to clog the streets, disrupt traffic, and interfere with other men's rights, end quote. Other men's rights. White men.
Wow. Well, they're the only ones that have rights.
Basically, it's a threat, too. You can't count on us forever letting you do whatever you want, even though... It's part of the Constitution to assemble, you piece of shit, for everybody, not just white people, motherfucker. He later wrote, quote, crime rates and irresponsibility among Negroes are facts of life which must be faced, end quote. He was at the Capitol Broadcast Company until he filed for the Senate race in 1972. Here
and then he gets fucking elected.
Yeah, and I'm just going to talk about this race when he gets in, and then a little bit of another race, because he runs a bunch of times and wins, but I don't want to get into all of those
And again, I have to say, He's a piece of shit.
He's a
right?
piece of shit.
He's garbage.
Yeah.
He runs. Do whatever you want. You want to run. But the people who are worse are the damn people who elected him because they put him there.
Yeah.
They
over and over again. And said
it's their fault. It's not this guy's fault. He's like, well, these assholes are going to keep voting me in.
They like what I'm doing. And if they like that he's attacking black people and communists,
it's just like
all
today.
this stuff.
It's like today with these stupid,
so what do? You don't change course.
And greens and all this crap.
You want to get reelected, so you keep up the fucking circus, right? Like you keep up the show.
Oh my God. Like the fact that Marjorie Taylor Greene won her primary.
Yeah.
She with her what's the latest thing that she said? The peach tree dish. She can't even speak.
No.
She can't even speak. And she's on there with her conspiracy theories and they voted for her.
I feel like she's probably really aggressive in bed. Like every time I see her, she looks like she wants to like fuck hard. Don't you know what I'm saying?
I don't know. She to me
doesn't her face look like she's just like
no.
She
looks like someone
gonna hurt somebody with that vagina.
I think she's someone that,
like it has teeth.
Is
Her vagina has teeth. Is what I'm saying.
The man eater.
Yeah.
She is not. I think that she's someone that maybe needs to
maybe
have a little something.
Who's taking on that role? Anybody?
Yeah,
Anybody
no
in the room
one.
want to take a chance at that?
No,
Okay.
no. Oh, and she.
All I know about, I really don't pay. I don't watch cable news. I don't see Biden's speech. I don't know what the fuck's going on. But like, the only video that's seared in my brain forever with Marjorie Taylor Greene is a video of her that she had set up a camera at what is that shit, that like outdoor gym that everybody goes to?
Like CrossFit.
Where she's like lifting up a fucking like this huge goddamn thing, like 300 pounds, and she's like, oh, and she like drops it, and she's like so fucking stoked about it, and I'm like, oh my God, she's like,
is she roided out?
Yeah, she's like fucking, like she's like afterwards like doing pull-ups and shit. I'm just like, God damn, she's like fucking, it's like she's fucking in it. But it looked like it was in her basement also. Like, I don't know if this is like a setup.
I don't know.
Like, one side of the room is CrossFit, the other side's like whips and chains. Like, she's just into some crazy
maybe.
shit.
Okay, maybe.
Yes, it's alleged. It's alleged.
Allegedly.
It's just in my imagination.
Because I'm sure she's a good Christian woman.
She needs a spanking, honey. She needs a spanking.
Oh, please. She needs to disappear. She needs to disappear is what needs to happen.
Go away. That we will have nothing to do with. When we say disappear,
I just mean
don't
go
run for office anymore.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, please.
Let's be clear.
Let's be clear. I just mean go far away. We
Really?
don't want to look at your face.
We're not trying to insinuate anybody do anything, especially like. But if you're in Ireland and you want to come visit and say hi to Margaret Taylor Greene,
please. I would love nothing more than to see her in a jail cell.
Yeah, that's what we.
That's the kind of thing. Like just actually for her, the best thing would be that everyone forgets her name.
Absolutely,
because she's someone that
same thing with shit Lamarca. Yeah, you know,
just forget her name, and that would be the biggest punishment for her. Is that
go back to your sorry ass Kmart life. Right? Kmart. She's a total Kmart girl. A Kmart. Not that there's really anything wrong with Kmart, but you know what I mean. Like she's in this time thing.
Does Kmart even exist anymore?
Oh no, it went out of business.
Dang.
It did. Yeah. Damn, they had good food at those Kmart. Like, remember the Kmart restaurants with the little diner?
Wait,
do you remember that? You don't? That one over here in Oakland Park had a little restaurant. It was so cute.
Oh wait, I remember that one.
Like a little diner.
Oakland in like 6.
Yeah, like you had a counter.
Yeah. We used to walk to that from my aunt's house.
And then my mom would get us those knockoff Keds there. And my sister and I were so embarrassed that we didn't have Keds. And my sister, I swear to Christ, she would die. This is so funny. She took a blue marker.
Oh, and she made the little square in the back.
She made the little square, Ked square in the back of her shoes. And I remember thinking how sad it was, but also like, because she's like, do you want me to do it to your shoes? I'm like, no, that's okay. I don't want. I said, someone's going to notice that you have a fake Keds blue square. Broke ass Kmart Keds. God, we were so poor.
Oh my
poor mother. My mother's out here in the Florida heat delivering mail, and my sister's like, but I want real Keds. But I was like, I can't do it. I gotta go to Kmart and get you fucking fake Keds. Oh my God. Meanwhile, I take my son to fucking Disney this weekend and get him a double-sided $45 lightsaber, right? And my mom's over here with fake Keds, and my son's whipping around a fucking lightsaber.
But you know what?
Like the true nerd that he is, and it brings me so much joy. I'm gonna cry. I'm so sorry.
Oh my
so
God.
Funny. Oh, that was a mom brag. $45. My son has a $45 lightsaber. Does your son have fake Keds? Please.
My son has the fake plastic lightsaber.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
It's a fake plastic.
But no, I'm talking about like...
Oh, you know. No, it is a fake one because I walked up to the woman. All my son wanted to do is build this lightsaber, right?
Oh,
and I go up to this woman and I said,
yeah.
where do we build the lightsaber? And she's like, do you have a reservation? And I'm like, reservation? She goes, it's a 60-day wait period to build a lightsaber. I'm like, bitch, I'm from Florida. Like, we don't fucking play
Disney.
like that.
Fucking Disney.
You can build a real lightsaber. That's the 60-day wait. It's a real one, like metal
like
lights, like the glass. It's glass, and the fucking light shoots through it. Yeah, a real lightsaber. That's the 60-day wait. I don't know how much that costs.
That has to be so much money.
My son and I were debating like how much does that thing cost? And I'm like, no, plastic. Like, where's the fake plastic ones? And then she's pointing me. She pointed me in the right direction with all the other poor folks walking over there.
I know, but
plastic
things. Those places are so damn expensive.
It was worth it. I mean, Star Wars was insane. Oh my god. Okay, anyway, we're talking about Jesse Helms. By the way, we need to do a Patreon, and we probably just fucking did all of our Patreon right in the middle of this.
All right, we'll cut it. Do you want to just cut it out?
No. Do it. Save it. It's fine. So, this piece of shit runs for Senate, right? And he announces his candidacy in 1972. He took the Republican primary, winning 92,496 votes over, or 60%. In the field, right?
Wow, so they like him.
Yeah.
Well, and plus he's on the radio every night. They hear his voice.
Yes.
That he's familiar.
They know him, right?
Yeah.
I know. So meanwhile, Democrats retired the ailing Senator B. Everett Jordan, who lost his primary to Congressman Nick Galifianakis. Does that name sound familiar? Yeah, that's right. He's uncle to comedian Zach Galifianakis.
What?
Isn't that amazing?
Wow.
So, yeah. And he kind of looks like him when I looked at his picture. Because I looked at last name, I go, that sounds familiar. And I went to it. It's sure enough, they're related.
Wow.
The latter represented the new politics of voters who included the young African-American voters since federal legislation removed discriminatory restrictions and anti-establishment activists. So these are all the people who are voting for him. And although he was a liberal by North Carolina standards, he did oppose busing to achieve integration in schools. Polls put Galifianakis way ahead until late in the campaign, but Helms, facing all but certain defeat, hired a professional campaign manager, F. Clifton White, giving him dictatorial control over campaign strategy, while Galifianakis avoided mention of his party's presidential candidate, who was the liberal George McGovern.
Wow.
Oh my God. Bad. Helms employed the slogans of McGovern Galifianakis, one and the same. Vote for Jesse. Nixon needs him. Jesse, he's one of us. Implicit play suggesting his opponent's Greek heritage made him somehow less American. Helms spent a record $654,000, much of it going toward carefully crafted television commercials portraying him as a soft-spoken mainstream conservative. In the final 6 weeks of the campaign, Helms outspent Galifianakis 3-1.
See, this is, again, campaign finance reform.
But this is how all his campaigns went. He did this going forward. He attacked them at every level. It didn't matter. And spent tons of fucking money.
But this is why it's not right. Because the average Joe cannot compete with the money flooding in from PACs, especially if you're a candidate that wants to be a grassroots candidate and not take money from like big corporations and things like that. How do you compete with the airtime? On podcasts, on radio, on television, in newspapers, on a billboard. You know, it's not right. They need to equal the playing field.
Absolutely.
Because it's only rich people that get to play.
Though the year was marked by Democratic gains in the Senate, Helms won 54% of the vote to Galifianakis' 46%. He was elected as the first Republican senator from the state since 1903.
Wow.
Because remember, Dixie Democrats, right?
Yeah. And now it's switched.
Before senators were directly elected, and when the Republican Party stood for a different tradition. So Helms was helped by Richard Nixon's gigantic landslide victory in that year's presidential election, and Nixon carried North Carolina by 40 points, which is a lot. Helms would go on to be re-elected 5 times. 6 years for each term.
Wow.
30 fucking years. That's why are Senate terms this long? Why do we have to have Marco Rubio for 6 fucking years?
Can you imagine 30 years of Marco Rubio?
So he was elected in 1972, 79, 85, 91, and 97. And before we move on to where he stood on issues, which I'll do very briefly, I want to mention his 1991 campaign, which he won, but was really like in my opinion, like so fucking dark. And it was discussed and talked about a lot, but still it was like so fucked up. So he was running against Democratic candidate Harvey Gantt, who was running to be the first black U.S. senator from North Carolina. And before this, he was the first black mayor of Charlotte, North Carolina. In his own right, like incredibly accomplished man, and like the first black student at Clemson, and he married the second black student at Clemson, and they had children together, and like just amazing man, architect, started his own firm, like still to this day, a very well-established firm in Charlotte, North Carolina. Like he's just this brilliant man. And this motherfucker goes after him, and it's insane. So during the campaign, the North Carolina GOP and others mailed over 125,000 notices, almost exclusively to black voters, telling them that they were not eligible to vote, and warned that if they went to the polls, they could be prosecuted for voter fraud. The GOP does that today. They went down to the old folks in Miami and changed their voters from Democrat to Republican. That last year.
And they're going to have people at the polls.
Yeah.
They have these operatives at the polls telling them they can't vote.
Yeah. At the behest of the several civil rights groups and the Democratic National Party, the U.S. Department of Justice sued the Helms campaign, the North Carolina GOP, 4 lobbying firms, and 2 individual lobbyists. Thomas Farr, campaign manager for Helms, disavowed any knowledge of the dirty tricks, which was shown to be false when his handwritten notes were discovered, where he's telling people to do this shit. The affected parties acknowledged and agreed to the Justice Department ruling, and were forced to desist from any other such activities.
But it was already too late.
That's it. Nothing else happened to them. Nothing. No fines. Nothing.
Such garbage.
In a close race, Helms also aired, this is fucked up, and I have the video in our notes, and I have a snapshot of it for my pictures for Instagram, but in a close race, Helms also aired a late-running television commercial titled Hands, that showed a white man's hand crumpling up a rejection notice from a company that gave the job to a less qualified minority. Some critics claimed the ad utilized subtextual racist themes, but it was it was playing into, what was it called? Affirmative action. So affirmative action was a huge thing in the 90s, right? And so that's what it's like, oh, you're a white person, you're losing your job to a black person, and that's what it was playing into, like, give this Senate job to a white person. Right? So I'll make sure that we're okay.
Wow.
Yeah. The advertisement was produced by Alice Castellanos, who Helms would employ until his company was dropped in April 1996 after running an unusually hard-hitting ad. So he kept hiring these people. Another Helms television commercial accused Gantt of running a, quote, secret campaign in homosexual communities and of being committed to, quote, mandatory gay rights laws, unquote, including requiring local schools to hire gay teachers. Helms obviously went on to win 52 to 47%. So it was close, but like, come on. So, some of the things he voted against while he was in Senate, because he said he's for the everyman, right? Like he's for the U.S., he's for every American. He really hated foreign policy.
That means he's for no one.
Yeah.
When they say we're for everyone, it means they're for no one.
Right. But then you look at his record, right? So for farmers, he voted against soil conservation, federal crop insurance for hail damage, and temporary protection for foreclosures during the farm crisis. As chair of the Agricultural Committee, he failed to take action on a bill making it easier for farmers to get drought relief and other disaster assistance.
Nice.
Veterans. He voted against $80 million in pensions and $100 million in home loans.
No.
Supported massive cuts in medical care for disabled veterans, opposed job training for unemployed veterans of Korea and Vietnam War, and compensation for military personnel exposed to nuclear tests. Like, what?
Why?
That seems like a no fucking brainer, right?
And aren't you all about the military?
Yeah. The elderly repeatedly voted to freeze or cut costs of living increases in Social Security benefits, opposed funds for Meals on Wheels and Medicare, one of 9 senators to vote against medical coverage for prescription drugs. For children, voted against summer jobs for inner city teens, shelters for battered women and children, nutrition for mothers during pregnancy, and Social Security benefits for children in foster care.
Why?
Opposed safety standards for daycare centers. What? Doesn't make any sense. For workers, he voted against tax cuts for working families, 60-day notification of plant closings, parental leave, job training for those on welfare, and increasing the minimum wage of to $4.55 an hour. The environment. Of course, they don't give a fuck about this. Voted against controlling asbestos. Double hulls on tankers to protect against oil spills, inside the sewage treatment facilities, and the Clean Air and Clean Water Act. Introduced a bill to outlaw new wilderness areas to protect them, right?
Yeah.
Use threat of filibuster to reduce industry fees for cleaning up toxic waste.
I mean, you would think that toxic waste, asbestos, why are these?
Probably because it would affect the company, right?
Yeah, he's in bed with the company, and he got a ton of money that paid for all of those stupid ads that he put out.
Yes, that's right. Education. He proposed cuts in school lunches, voted against funds for vocational education, Head Start programs for disadvantaged preschoolers, and special education for the disabled. One of 4 senators to oppose work-study jobs for college students. Abortion. Well, we know where we stand on this. In 1980, during his second term, Helms and Robert K. Dornan again proposed, this is the second time, his second term, an amendment banning abortion in all circumstances, and also proposed a bill defining fetuses as human beings, thereby taking it out of the hands of the federal courts, along with Illinois Republican Henry Hyde and Kentucky Democrat Romano Mazzoli. More successfully, Helms passed an amendment banning federal funds from being used for abortions unless the woman's life is in danger.
Wow.
I just... Again, we talked about this for
30 years.
Every week for the last 3-4 weeks.
30 years.
But like...
someone's whole life.
Yeah, but like, who says the life's in danger? Like, who's making that judgment?
Right.
If you go to a Catholic hospital and you got a Catholic doctor, like that, their view is going to be different.
Of course.
It's going to come into play. So,
can they make atheist hospitals?
Yeah, that'd be nice. I gotta tell you, when I was pregnant with my son, there was something showing an abnormality on him when they did a measurement, which I think the measurement was off. The girl who took the measurement was like 20, and I'm like, this bitch can't count. All right, like something was off. But my doctor at a Catholic hospital, I don't think she was Catholic, but she was like, I just need you to know that you have this many weeks to make a decision of what you want to do. Basically saying, if you want to have an abortion, like you have to do it soon because you're running out of time.
Right.
And I can't do that for you here. So we need to figure a plan out, right? Like, my husband was furious, but I was like, well, she's giving me a heads up. Right. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Anyway. So, race. We know he's a fucking all-out racist. He opposed busing black students into white schools, the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act. Helms called the Civil Rights Act of 1964, quote, the single most dangerous piece of legislation ever introduced in Congress, end quote. In 1982, he voted against the extension of the Voting Rights Act.
So he's also the most dangerous piece in the legislature.
Absolutely.
That's what it is.
So here's something else that he's famous for. In 1983, Helms led the 16-day filibuster in the Senate.
16 days?
16 days.
How do you even do that?
Because I think they tag team.
Hey!
Uh-oh.
Woo!
Tag team. So they did this opposing the proposed establishment of Martin Luther King Day as a federal holiday.
You have got to be kidding me.
This is what he's famous for. Helms and others
This is what he's wasting everybody's time on.
Yeah. Helms and others claimed, quote, another federal holiday would be costly for the economy.
Oh my God.
Although the Congressional Budget Office cited a cost of $18 million, Helms claimed it would cost $12 billion a year. Helms Helms distributed a 300-page packet claiming that the civil rights leader was a political radical who adopted action-oriented Marxism and detailing Dr. King's supposed treachery, in which he accused King of, quote, appearing to have welcomed collaboration with communists. Helms
let me join.
Helms ended the filibuster in exchange for a new tobacco bill. So he did all of this because North Carolina's big tobacco. Right?
Yes,
he did all of this.
How much money did he get?
He doesn't care how much he looks like a racist because everybody knows he's a fucking racist.
Old and he gets money.
Yeah, but he did all of this for Reagan to give him a bill for his state. Like that's how And also, I mean, again, I don't like Newt Gingrich. I don't, I get all that, but like the way that they manipulate to get what they want is fucking insane.
Brilliant.
And I wish Democrats would do it.
I do
wish
too.
we would do it.
I do too.
Just filibuster so you get what you want.
Yeah, like just do something.
Yeah.
Filibuster to end the filibuster?
Yeah.
Can we do that?
So he wants this new tobacco bill, right? So President Reagan signs this bill on October 9th, 1983. And so he gets what he wants, and then Helms then demanded the FBI surveillance tapes allegedly detailing philandering of King's part to be released. Although Ronald Reagan and the courts refused. Yeah,
who cares?
He wants to just take down Martin Luther King Jr.
I mean, come on.
The conservatives attempted to rename the day National Equality Day or National Civil Rights Day.
Yeah,
like you give a fuck. Like you fucking care. But that failed and the bill was passed, of course. As we know, we celebrate
because they can't honor a black man.
Yeah.
They cannot honor his name.
No. Writing in the Washington Post several years later, David Broder, who was a reporter, attributed Helms' opposition to the MLK holiday to racism on Helms' part.
But,
hello.
Surprise.
Yeah. So, here we are, Pride Month, and this is how I know this motherfucker. I remember him from the 90s, and when it was really important to throw money into HIV,
right.
What's it called?
Research.
What am I thinking? What?
Research,
thank you. HIV research and trying to figure out this disease that's a mystery. Nobody knows what's going on. We've talked about it several times. And so this motherfucker, of course, because he's super religious, says some of the most fucking heinous things you've ever heard on the Senate floor about the LGBTQ community, especially gay men, of course, because they were the prominent HIV cases. So he said, quote, "Nothing positive happened to Sodom and Gomorrah, and nothing positive is likely to happen to America if our people succumb to the drumbeats of support for the homosexual lifestyle," end quote.
Wow.
Helms had a negative view of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people and LGBTQ rights in the United States. He called homosexuals, quote, "weak, morally sick wretches," end quote, and tried to cut funding for the National Endowment for the Arts for supporting the, quote, "gay-oriented artwork of photographer Robert Mapplethorpe," end quote.
Come on.
Who's a genius.
Genius.
Have you seen his photos?
Oh, come on.
Oh, so fucking good. I mean, my God. In 1993, when then President Bill Clinton wanted to appoint an out lesbian Roberta Achtenberg to Assistant Secretary of the Department of Housing and Urban Development, Helms held up the confirmation because, quote, "because she's a damn lesbian," end quote. Adding, quote, "she's not your garden variety lesbian. She's a militant activist, mean lesbian," end quote.
Your garden variety? So what?
Sounds fun to me.
I know.
I mean, what? He also stated, quote, "I'm not going to put a lesbian in a position like that. If you want to call me a bigot, fine," end quote. Yeah.
All right.
When Clinton urged that gays be allowed to serve openly in the armed forces, Helms said that the president, quote, "better have a bodyguard," end quote, if he ever visited North Carolina.
Can he say that?
Threatening the president of the United States.
Yeah, can you do that?
He initially fought against increasing federal funding for HIV research and treatment, saying the disease resulted from unnatural and disgusting homosexual behavior. In 1993, he voted against confirming Ruth Bader Ginsburg to the Supreme Court. He cited her support for the, quote, "homosexual agenda" as one of the reasons for doing so.
Oh my God.
In his 2017 memoir, Logical Family, gay author Armistead Maupin recalls that Helms described homosexuality as, quote, "an abomination" when he was working for him as a young man.
Wow.
In 1987, Helms added an amendment to the Supplemental Appropriations Act, which directed the president to use executive authority to add HIV infection to the list of excludable diseases that prevent both travel and immigration to the United States.
Wow.
Yeah. The action was opposed by the U.S. Public Health Service. Congress restored the executive authority to remove HIV from the list of excludable conditions in the 1990 Immigration Reform Act, and in January 1991, Secretary of Health and Human Services Louis Sullivan announced he would delete HIV from the list of excludable conditions. But a letter-writing campaign headed by Helms ultimately convinced President H.W. Bush not to lift the ban and left the United States as the only industrialized nation in the world to prohibit travel based on HIV status. This is a sexually transmitted disease. You're not, unless you're fucking in the bathroom of the plane, which, hey, I don't know what's going on. Although I could never do it. My ass is too big to get in that bathroom. I would attempt it, but honey, there'd be a lot of noise in that bathroom. I'd be like, no, my leg. Okay, but what the fuck is wrong with this guy? It's fucked up.
This is what he's spending his time on. He's spending his time on this to do a whole letter writing campaign and this is a lot of work.
Yeah.
But
and can you imagine how many letters for the president to be like, oh, we gotta keep this? Oh my God. I mean, the travel ban was also responsible for the cancellation of the 1992 International AIDS Conference in Boston. People are like, we can't even have this in America because nobody can come to it.
Oh my God.
On January 5th, 2010, the 22-year-old ban was lifted after having been signed by President Barack Obama on October 30th, 2009. The New York Times stated that
I can't believe it was that long.
I know. The New York Times stated that Helms was bitterly opposed to federal financing for research and treatment of AIDS, which he believed was God's punishment for homosexuals.
I love this whole, it's God's will,
Yeah.
it's God's way. It's so stupid.
He introduced an amendment in 1987 a spending bill that prohibited the use of federal tax dollars for any AIDS educational materials that would promote, quote, promote or encourage directly or indirectly homosexual activities, end quote. Opposing the Kennedy-Hatch AIDS bill in 1988, Helms stated, quote, there is not one single case of AIDS in this country that cannot be traced in origin to sodomy, end quote. Which isn't true. Like, we know this. It's a blood, it goes through the, So, when Ryan White died in 1990, his mother went to Congress to speak to politicians on behalf of people with AIDS. She spoke to 23 representatives. Helms refused to speak to Gene White, even when she was alone with him in an elevator.
No!
Yeah. Would not talk to him.
No! So she, just ignored her.
Yep.
And she's like, please talk to me.
Yeah.
Her son is dead. Was it her son had died at this point?
Yes. From a blood transfusion.
Wow.
I don't know, Ryan White, if everybody remembers.
Yes.
He got it as a child through a blood transfusion.
Right.
Because he was a hemophiliac.
Yes. And she's like, please talk to me. What a disgusting
How many,
man.
we've talked about this before. I covered this, the way that the government, I think one of our first episodes, how the government reacted to the AIDS crisis and how they disregarded people. But like, how many lives could have been saved through the blood transfusion?
Right.
Checking the blood.
Right.
Like, we knew it was through the bloodstream. Why didn't we do that? You're refusing to talk to this woman. Children have died because of it. Other people, adults, have died from receiving that blood. Why can't you just pass a law that makes sure the blood is checked? What the fuck? So fucked up.
He's just after his own interests.
Despite his opposition, of course, the Ryan White Care Act was passed in 1990, which, of course, is to make sure that the blood is tested before giving to anybody. So the last thing is this, which I found hilarious. In his final year in the Senate, 2003,
God,
because of his
long.
because of his new friendship with the rock star Bono, he Bono. Oh, the pictures. I got pictures.
How is he like?
You
So
should look at pictures of these two
besties
jokes.
with Bono.
Oh, they became good friends.
Why?
Well, what was Bono big on? The AIDS crisis, right?
Yeah.
He was all over the world with the AIDS crisis, right?
So how did
Bono goes to him and like sits down with him, and he was probably like starstruck, right? Can you imagine? Mysterious ways. The motherfucker singing like he's a YouTube fan.
He's a YouTube
fan.
He's like an old YouTube fan.
Does he have those weird glasses like Bono has? He thinks he's
wasn't he like
starstruck?
But wasn't he like super short?
Who? Oh, he does look short in the pictures.
Yeah.
How tall do you think he is?
I think he's like one of these dudes that's like 5'6". I think he's like a
Wow.
tiny dude. I could be entirely wrong.
Yeah, but on that stage he looks like a fucking monster rock star, right?
My
Like
God.
everybody get behind a mic, all of a sudden they're like, "Aye." He's so funny.
I don't get this relationship.
I don't know. So he goes there. He becomes friends with Helms, and he convinces him to support AIDS measures in Africa. Because
but not in the US.
And here's
but not
how,
in the US.
No. And here's how fucked up Helms is. This is how fucked up this fucking man is. He supports it because the main way that it's transmitted in Africa is through heterosexual sex. It's not through homosexual sex the way it is in America.
This man.
That's how Bono probably, listen, God bless Bono. He probably went to every door and was like, all right, what's this person for?
Yes,
Okay, he's against homosexuals. I'll tell him it's straight people.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's how he got people on board. He had dinner with his guys. There's pictures of them at dinner together.
He's got to sit with
arm
this
in
piece
arm.
of garbage.
Yeah, but whatever.
But you know what?
Is Bono Irish? Maybe Bono was living in Ireland.
Bono!
Oh my
Bono, can you come on Little Muck and talk to us about your advocacy in the 90s? Look how cute we are. We can talk to you.
5-star quality. That's what Tina did. Remember, did 5-star quality. Oh my God. Lincoln's Bono.
What?
Or what? The Edge.
The Edge. Yes, the Edge.
We just started thinking the same thing at the same time. Oh, we are so. This is so fucked. Oh my God, we're the same person. Basically.
Maybe the Edge and Bono will come on the muck.
Let's talk about how
I'm sending an email. I'm sending an email.
It could be a 10-minute conversation, and all I want to know is what was the conversation when you went to talk to Jesse Helms?
How did you do it?
What happened?
How
was it? Yeah. How
and
did you
who
convince
else
him?
did you talk to that maybe we don't know about?
Because the pictures that I have of him, like with there was another guy from Pennsylvania who ran for president a bunch of times. He's in the picture too, and it's like a staunch anti-gay, anti-everything. Like this guy, he's at dinner with all these guys.
Wow!
Just to get them to support
good for him.
AIDS research in Africa.
Good for him.
Yeah. So anyway, that's Jesse Helms. Hi. And bye, you dead piece of shit. Oh my God, there was an interview with him, like he died of cancer. Like he retired because he was sick. And so he goes away, but he's in this interview and he had those, he's like a Mitch McConnell with those thin little baby lips like this.
You can't
he just says,
with thin lips.
I believe in the interview, no, yeah. Anyway. In the interview, he's like, and he starts to get a little teary-eyed, and I'm like, yeah, I bet you're crying, you piece of shit. You know where you're going. You're going to fucking hell, right? And he was like, I just want people to remember me for all the good work.
What good work? It doesn't
North
sound.
Carolina and in to cry, and I'm like, fuck you! Like I can't wait for the devil to stick his hand right up your ass.
Oh my!
The devil's gonna bend over and be like, let's talk about homosexuality real quick. Here's my monster devil dick right up your ass, Jesse Helms.
Tina, we're going too far.
No, I don't think so. Fuck you, Jesse Helms. Fuck you.
Wow.
And also fuck North Carolina voters who kept this motherfucker in office.
For 30 years.
Come on.
30 years.
I mean,
it's too long.
That's part of that movie Outrage is like they're closeted people who are voting against LGBTQ. This guy was out,
right.
Not gay, but like out there hating everybody.
Are we sure?
And we still, what do you, yeah, maybe
sure
he was. Maybe
closeted?
he was self-hating. Who knows? But like, he's out there and you're still electing him. What the fuck? Tina.
Today, I'm going to tell you the story of a New Mexico judge and director of the Oregon Department of Corrections, Michael Franke.
Okay.
So, I don't know if you've heard about this, but Michael Franke had a solid legal career in the criminal justice system in New Mexico and was appointed as director of the Oregon Department of Corrections in 1987. But when he's found dead at work, it sparks decades of conspiracy theories.
What? Is it still unsolved?
Kind of.
Oh my God.
There's like this whole podcast. It's like a 12-part podcast just on this story.
Wow.
So like I'm just giving.
What's the name of the podcast?
It's called Murder in Oregon.
Okay.
Yeah. So our story takes place in Salem, Oregon, which is in Marion County, and one website said that this was the most Oregon part of Oregon.
Oh,
whatever that means.
I mean, I'm imagining big old trees.
Yeah.
Rain.
Yeah, it's got like, you know, the historical sites and museums. It's like a small town feel for a city.
Love it.
It's got that vibe.
Love it.
And some background on Michael Franke. According to his alumni page from University of Virginia, he was born in 1946. He grew up in Missouri, and in the 60s he went to college on a football scholarship. So listening to that podcast, they talked to his two brothers. He's got like a brother that's older, and then he has a brother that's younger. And so the two of them kind of like talked about Michael Franke as like a young person, and he was sort of like this all-American athlete. I think he was one of those, where he lettered in like 3 different sports.
Amazing.
And,
Yeah.
So he goes to college on this football scholarship, and I think he had like 2 different scholarships, but one offered him like a full ride or whatever.
Nice.
And then he went on to the University of Virginia Law School, and he earned his law degree in 1971. Then he passes the bar, and he works as a judge advocate for the Navy for 3 years. So that's what he does. And then he moves back to New Mexico And in 1975, he starts working as an assistant attorney general to the State Department of Corrections. So he kind of does most of his sort of law work in like correctional areas. So that's how he's sort of involved with like the prison system and all of that.
Yeah.
And then in 1980, he becomes a judge for the First District Court, and he serves for 3 years before becoming that director of the New Mexico Department of Corrections. So he's moving up in this field, and the alumni site notes that he was credited for reforming the New Mexico prison system. It doesn't say like exactly how, but I did find there was like an award in his honor that cited that there was like this 1980 prison riot in New Mexico that left 33 inmates dead.
Holy cow.
And he was on a team that offered like solutions to help rebuild the Department of Corrections and prevent future riots from happening. Dang. So that was like the work that he did. So then in 1987, so he probably got sort of known in the prison sort of, I don't want to say the prison community, but in the correctional system community. And in 1987, Frankie is appointed by Oregon Governor Neil Goldschmidt as director of the Oregon Department of Corrections.
Wow.
But 2 years later, you know, he's killed.
Jeez.
So he's not there for very long. All right, so let's go into the day in question.
Oh my God.
So Unsolved Mysteries, there's like the Unsolved Mysteries website, there's the Unsolved Mysteries wiki, and they had a lot of information about like the day in question. And so I'm kind of referencing that for this. According to the wiki, Frankie finished up a staff meeting around 7 o'clock at night on January the 16th, 1989. And then about 30 minutes later, 2 of his colleagues are like leaving work, and they notice that the light was on in his car and that the driver's side door is open.
Oh boy.
Right?
Oh no.
And that's weird. So they're like, where is he?
Yeah.
So they try to page him because this is at the time of pager. So they're paging him, no response. And they found that really weird because he was like the type of guy where you paged him and he like got back to you immediately.
Wow.
So they're like, what the hell's going on?
And he's not in the car.
He's not in the car. He's not near the car.
So it seems like he ran out of this car or maybe saw something.
Or opened his car door. Something
right? Happened. Maybe somebody else opened a door and pulled him out. All right.
Something. Right. But he's like leaving work.
Okay,
right?
Yes.
So they decide to go search for him and they can't find him anywhere. Like they're searching the whole grounds of the prison.
Holy shit.
Right. And at 9:30, they go home because they're like, we don't see him anywhere.
Yeah.
So later that night, in the early evening hours of January 17th, around 12:45 a.m., Frankie was found stabbed to death outside of the Department of Corrections building.
What? These are the same grounds they were searching?
Yes, yes. They find him like in this sort of like area that there was a door, and it seemed like he'd broken the glass to try to get into the building.
What the fuck?
But he like died at the door.
How? What?
Yes.
This is insane.
It's insane. So there was this broken window and his briefcase gone. Right?
Okay.
But it's a little weird because it's like, well, you walked around, you searched.
Nobody's robbing him. Something else. This is, to throw off the scent.
So there's a lot of theories out there.
Okay.
And we'll get into some of them.
Oh my God,
and
I'm so
I really
excited.
think you should listen to the podcast.
Yes, it
like,
sounds amazing.
It's like 12 episodes long.
Oh
And the first couple are like a lot of background.
Getting to know him. Yeah.
So if you want all like the nitty gritty, definitely check that out. So the big question like surrounding the case was like, who would do this? Like, why did this happen?
Right.
And Willamette Week's Nigel Jacques offers a detailed timeline, and I'm going to kind of refer to that along with those other sources. So they find Frankie, right? But what they don't find is a murder weapon. So there's no knife laying around, and it was never recovered. The brothers on the podcast say that the older brother says that when he was first contacted by someone from the prison regarding his brother's death, he was told that his brother was shot.
What?
Then he finds out that he's stabbed, and he thought that was a little bit odd.
Oh no!
Right?
Is this like an inside job? Maybe?
So this is what like the brother starts thinking like something isn't
cover
right.
up.
So in 1990, after several investigations, the police arrest this guy named Frank Gable. Okay. And they claim that Gable attempted to steal Frankie's car, and it was a botched carjacking. But a lot of people don't think Gable is guilty, and they certainly don't think it's only about this car.
Right.
They claim that Gable attacked Frankie at his car when he was heading home. So like he gets off of work, which would have been around 7 p.m. But a lot of people argue that carjacking couldn't be the reason because one, Frankie had a car alarm. So if he had broken into the car, he had this like high-end alarm system. The alarm would have been going off, right? And apparently there was no blood near the car. There was no evidence of a struggle. There was nothing near the car.
This is so
like
weird.
If it was a carjacking, like why is he now at this other part of the building stabbed?
Where nobody saw him before.
Yeah,
like hours later.
Yeah, it doesn't.
What was he doing in those hours he was missing?
It doesn't make sense. So Gable, though, was found guilty in 1991.
Come on.
He's sentenced to life without parole.
God damn.
And according to Jacques, the prosecutors, they lined up like this slew of drug dealers and former felons who all took the stand, and they all stated that Gable admitted to murdering Frankie, like that he personally told them that he was responsible for this. So they're like, that's what they're testifying to. But then, like, this is where like sort of the conspiracy theories start. Many believe that Frankie may have stumbled upon some shady business within the prison.
This is what I'm thinking.
And he was about to talk about it.
Yeah.
And that's why he got killed.
And they got all these people to say.
Yes.
Yeah.
So according to the Unsolved Mysteries page, allegedly, Frankie told his family that he was investigating corruption in the Oregon prison system as well as drug trafficking. And he was, again, allegedly going to name names.
Oh, no.
So supposedly he was doing the secret investigation. He interviewed guards who had corroborated and admitted to bringing illegal items like weapons and drugs into the prison.
No.
And he supposedly told his sister that he was going to go to the legislature to present his findings.
Oh, shit.
The day after he was killed was the day he was supposed to present his findings.
Come on!
Right?
What's the conspiracy? This is it!
So when he told his sister that, it was like 4 days later he's dead.
Oh my God.
So I can see why the family's like, no, there's something else going on.
Yeah.
He did not get killed by this carjacker.
Yeah.
So the Statesman Journal reported that in 1989, the FBI was investigating a potential connection between corruption at the state prison and Frankie's death. But that tip then comes through that notes that Gable had some involvement, and like they kind of go that direction, and like that whole other thing just doesn't go through.
Wow.
So they put together this theory, and this aired in 1991. So they believe that Frankie was abducted by 3 men in a van, and this is like the Unsolved Mysteries, like is what they think. And they think that he was abducted at his car, thrown in this van, taken somewhere, right? And then returned to his office and killed. And the implication is that they were high officials who didn't want Frankie to report what was going on. So Gable, though, when he was charged for 6 counts of aggravated murder. Oh my God, dude. And 1 count of murder. And like I said, he's sentenced. So the aftermath of all of this, according to Maxine Bernstein of the Oregonian, the witnesses who claim that Gable confessed to them have all recanted. Oh my God! And not only that, but there's this website, it's called Coffee or Die.
Is this guy still in the fucking prison?
So
we'll
see. Yeah.
Oh,
so
God.
One of the witnesses who recanted claimed that law enforcement paid her to lie.
What in the fuck? This is so clear. What are we talking about here?
Wow.
This isn't a conspiracy. There are
like
facts.
There's things happening.
Come on.
So, but in 2019, Judge John Acosta ruled to release Gable, and he had this to say according to Jacques' Willamette Weekly article. Quote, although the evidence presented at trial in 1991 resulted in a guilty verdict, the court concludes that it is more likely than not that no reasonable juror would find Gable guilty in light of the totality of all the evidence uncovered since that time, particularly the newly presented evidence of witness recantations. Wow. So he's like, yeah, like this probably wouldn't hold up, and he lets him go. And in February of 2022, and now this is still kind of ongoing, so like when he says that, he's like, he's like, we're letting him go, then the state has like a certain amount of time that they can like try to say, we're going to fight this to keep him in jail. And in February of this year, the state went before a 3-judge panel to try and re-jail Gable. What the fuck? And so far, I mean, I did not see any issue of their decision yet.
That's messed up, man. You know what really pisses me off, and I know you've got more of your story you're going to get to, but like what really fucking pisses me off is this clearly to me, in my opinion, an inside job where they knew they could manipulate the justice system to wrongfully convict somebody, to get the heat off of them, and then paid other people to go along with it.
Yes.
That is so fucked up.
Messed
and
up.
how are you part of a correctional department?
Like the irony of it all.
And manipulate the justice system.
The thing that was interesting, too, that the brothers talked about is when they heard... So there was like some high official that had gone to the building and was calling people about Frankie, but like they don't go to Frankie's office. And he's like, it's so weird. Like he just starts making that maybe there was this expectation that Frankie was going to be found dead in the office as like a fake suicide. Because he had lost, I can't remember if Frankie lost his son or he had lost someone to suicide. So I think they thought they were going to try to
set that, like make it look like that.
Do something like that, I believe. So one thing that's interesting is that Frankie's own brothers, Patrick and Kevin, they don't believe that Gable is guilty. And they even issued a statement in support of Gable to the courts in 2019.
Good men.
And according to Willamette Week, they wrote, quote, "We are happy in the extreme that the very real probability that Frank Gable will be released and his freedom is within sight. The state can no longer afford to manufacture a case built on lies and half-truths."
Yeah.
I mean, and the fact that, like, this is his family saying this guy didn't do it.
And what they're saying is the state is saying, it's like they know they're up against an entire system of people who are fucking shady and manipulating things behind the curtain. That's scary.
It's scary. And Bernstein of the Oregonian reported that one brother, Kevin, said that if they go after Gable again, that he will, quote, "come after them with pitchforks and shovels because there is absolutely no more inhumane thing they can do because Frank Gable is an innocent man."
What a beautiful family.
You know?
My God.
Wow.
What wonderful people.
So another thing that I thought was interesting is there's like this mysterious person, the man in the pinstripe suit.
Ooh, I like this.
So, they're at the prison, at the correctional facility, and there was this guy in a suit that like appeared to be like a pinstripe suit, and there was one place that he was kind of walking back and forth, which was sort of near Frankie's office, and this is why I think the family thinks that it was supposed to be like this. He was going to kill him and stage this suicide kind of thing. But they were like that Frankie normally came in and out through a different entrance, and he was sort of more near the main entrance. And the lady who was in charge of like human resources or whatever was like, who is this guy, right? She didn't recognize him. And then other people supposedly saw this guy working on a copy machine. So they assumed like, oh, because that happens.
In a suit?
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen a person in a suit, but at the time period, maybe, who knows, But I know, like, I've gone into the copy room and there's a guy working on the copy machine because you got to call the people in if it goes too far. So they see this guy working on the copy machine and the parts everywhere, right? But then he leaves.
In the pinstripe suit?
Yes, he leaves, but the copy machine is not fixed. Like, he just went and took stuff. So
come on, he's checking the place out to see where he can go, where he needs to walk in.
Yes, it's very odd.
By the way, don't cut.
And it
how
was like
dumb
the
are
same
the people
thing.
in this place? I'm here to fix the copier.
But I mean, I've walked in and seen a guy on a copier and I've never questioned
it. Within a pinstripe suit?
The suit is a weird thing.
No, I'd say, sir, I think you're overdressed for the job. I don't think so.
So there was also this armed robber who claimed that he drove a local drug dealer, this guy named Tim Natividad, to the crime scene as a hired hit. And that it was a state prison official who took out the hit. But that guy happened to be killed in a domestic dispute a few weeks after Frankie, and so it never went anywhere.
Wow.
And there was another theory that's offered by this website, Copy or Die, that was going around, which was that the former Assistant Attorney General of Oregon, this guy Scott McAllister, he resigned a few weeks before Frankie's death, and he may have been involved. So allegedly an ex-girlfriend heard him on the phone saying it was a botched hit, and again, supposed to look like that suicide, but P.S. that McAllister ends up in jail anyway because they found child porn on his computer.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
And then another thing I found interesting was that in the original filings, a man named Johnny Krause, a petty thief, confessed to killing Frankie in a crime gone wrong, but nothing came of that because he recanted and they never followed up, even though what he said matched up with the physical evidence. So there's still this other person. So that's like the story. Like they really don't know. Was it that because he was sort of like this straight and arrow kind of guy.
I mean, yes, he is, and his brothers are, which is incredible.
Was brought in to maybe clean things up, and then sort of stumbled on, these guards are involved in this thing. He's going to go report it.
Oh my
and
God.
now that report never happened.
That's so sad.
Yeah.
It's so sad.
And that is just, I mean, it's such an overview of the story, but I was like, this
really
is
bothers
wild.
me is like it's clear that that's what's happening. It's been a long time since we've known this. Did anybody continue the investigation and figure out like who he was investigating? Because I think you can find the murderer in there somewhere.
The thing that is so weird is that they did not find him. That they walked the perimeter of that building.
That's weird. Yes, I think,
and that they didn't find him. And if someone is being carjacked, there would be some evidence of a struggle, something on the car, something somewhere.
Here's what I think.
And he's running off.
I think the van story. So I think somebody pulled up who he knew. Maybe had a gun
and just
said, get in the van.
Get in the van.
And he walked into the van and they left. They killed him somewhere else and then dumped the body back at the fucking prison.
And there was a security guard, too, that saw, like from a distance, thought that he saw Frankie walk, what he thought was Frankie walking to where they found the body. And they said that he was walking casually, like he wasn't, there was nothing urgent or like he looked normal. But then during the testimony, it changed. Like they worked with him, you know what I mean, to change like what they saw.
This is so fucking scary.
Yeah, it's very scary. It's very scary. And they go like in the podcast, like they go with one of the interviewers to the prison, and they're like, "This is where he came in. This is where and like it's like they said it was like a memorial for them, like that space.
I'm surprised that
terrible.
You think you're a good guy and you're going to take down the bad guys, which is obviously what he was doing. I'm sure he didn't expect to find whatever he found, but he was doing the right thing, and I'm surprised that he didn't take more precaution moving around.
Well, they said so when they went to his house like after he died, and he had a gun. Like in his room, he had a gun under his pillow.
See, he probably felt safe at work.
He was worried.
But he probably felt safe coming out of work. Like, no one's going to come get me at the prison.
Right?
Yeah,
so he definitely
this poor
was
man.
worried.
This poor man. And stabbed is awful.
Oh, my God.
Being awful.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if they did want to do, like, a staged suicide. And his marriage was sort of ending.
Oh, God.
And it just... I don't know.
This is terrible.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild.
This is just so sad.
I know, I'm sorry.
What are we going to do?
But that's it. That's my story.
Well, I know. So tonight we get to celebrate our friend Kate.
Yay! Our happy birthday, Kate.
Happy birthday, Kate. And it's her birthday yesterday. She's an amazing woman. It's so funny. I was thinking about her. I met her when our babies were babies. They were 3 years old, and my daughter and her son met each other in preschool.
Oh my God.
Up the street. And the teacher said to me, the sweetest boy and the sweetest girl have become friends. Because they're both very quiet and like, And then I met Kate. She was coming out of I was picking up my daughter from preschool one day, and she was coming out. And she goes, "Oh, you're Pam's mom?" And I said, "Yes." She goes, "Oh, my son and your daughter are really good friends." And I was like, "Oh." And I was like, "Where do you live?" And she's like, "Just down the street." I'm like, "Me too." And we became really, really good friends. And our kids are still like best friends. They spend time together. Except now they're 13. And they float around in her pool and curse the whole time. And he rides his bike over here, and I hear them in her room, and she's going, "And fucking this, and fucking that," and I'm like, "Excuse me."
That's my son too, with the cursing.
Oh my God! So they're adorable. Anyway,
Happy
she's amazing.
Birthday!
Yes.
She is amazing.
Happy birthday, you sweet angel. She's been through so much, and she's just the best, loveliest person, and angry and hard as nails and fucking amazing. So happy birthday, you sweet baby angel.
Happy birthday!
Yeah, we would sing the whole thing, but Tina's a little shy to sing in public apparently. Except at karaoke. When she stands up there and dances and sings for everybody. Oh my God, when are we going to go to karaoke
we need a karaoke
again?
night.
I was thinking that last night.
God.
Like, we have to plan that again. It's
yes!
so much fun. Okay, well, I think that's it.
That's it.
All right. Bye.
Bye.